place to another. And so as we think about the needs and the goals, we're thinking about writing these goals down. It's important not only to have goals, but to have well thought out, well written goals that can keep us on track toward where we want to be. So some well written goals for ministry practicum, internship. Though those words are sort of being used interchangeably here. You are doing practical ministry, so practicum in that sense. Well-written goals are directly related to accurately identified needs. And so part of setting a good goal is to recognize and identify your needs properly, which gets me back to what I was saying before about making sure that the goals that you set for your place of ministry, those ministry goals, are accurately identified, and I think you'll do that with your field supervisor best. When you have good goals in place, it really puts you and your supervisor in charge of your summer. From that standpoint, I mean, there are things that we want you to accomplish, and achieving these goals are a part of that in this course this summer. And so when you have well-written, well-articulated goals that meet practical needs, your supervisor and you can work together to build a plan to accomplish things specifically and intentionally throughout the summer that are going to help you achieve those sorts of things. It helps to formalize the content and the process. It helps the supervisor support you when they know what your goals are and that you're moving in these certain directions or want to move in these directions. These are folks who have been on the field for a long time, and they can help you move in those directions. And then very practically, setting good, achievable goals is going to help your grade in the course. Setting these goals at the outset and then accomplishing those as you move through the summer are part of the grade evaluation process. So the better and more clearly that you set achievable goals, the better your grade's going to be at the end of the semester. And not that that's your underlying goal or intention, so to speak, but it's nice icing on the cake. So moving on down this page a little bit more, some steps in writing your goals. You need to name your needs. We've been in the process of talking about that. But then we want to think about, if you meet those needs, what is that going to look like? So that these goals that you set should be traceable, they should be achievable sorts of things. And so think to yourself as you think through your needs and as you think through your goals, okay, if I'm here and I get to here, what sort of concrete, graspable results will there be at the end of the day or at the end of the summer, as it may be? So what does it look like when the need is met? Making that end result specific and concrete. We don't want fuzzy goals because you never know if you met them or not. I want to love people better. Well, that's good, but how do you trace that? How is that concrete? And so there need to be concrete steps in place to do those sorts of things. And we'll talk about that some more on the next page here in just a second. And then how do I state the end result in terms that let me know what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it? Again, very concrete sorts of steps we're looking for in these goals. And it may seem tedious. I'm not sure that a lot of us often set our goals very well because they're not traceable and achievable sorts of things. But when we do that, it helps us to know how that's been accomplished, and we can check it off, and we feel better, and we see how God's been at work in us, growing us and teaching us as we've made progress in areas that we need to grow. And then lastly, here on page 3, you'll notice an illustration that that's been provided, moving from the need, which is, if I can read this correctly, I need to know how to get parents involved in children's ministry as an example. Well, here under number 2, you see several things along the right-hand column, and it's sort of an increasing clarification process of goal setting. So you may initially say, okay, that's my need, so my goal is I will develop in my ability to get parents involved in children's ministry. Okay, that's good, but it's not good enough. That's sort of a weak goal. It's not concrete enough. It's not measurable enough. And so as you sort of follow things down, they center the goal more and more and more until you get down here to the bottom to where the goal becomes, I will lead a children's council to recruit leadership from parents for each calendar event at least a month before summer begins. And so you've gone from, I want to get more parents involved, to I'm going to have a council that's going to get parents involved a month before events begin, on the calendar, all those sorts of things. So I hope you see what a good goal looks like down there at the bottom versus what a weaker goal looks like, and some of that may take just some thinking and some processing and some tweaking a little bit to get to the point that, at the end of the summer you can show whether or not that goal has been met. Did you meet with this council? Did you do these sorts of things? Yes, I did. No, I didn't. And if I didn't, then here's why, and maybe there's good reasons why. And that's part of the process, part of the evaluation process as well. Well, on to page 4, which I guess is really the last of the pages. There's one little thing on page 5, but not really for us. If you need help in writing your goals, remember the acronym SMART. When you write your goals, you want to write SMART goals. The S is specific. We want our goals to be observable behaviors, things that we can put our finger on. We want them to be measurable. By the 5th week of the summer, we want to have accomplished this so that by week 9 we can see this. We are going to start a Bible study at this point, and we want to then accomplish this by this point. Measurable sorts of goals are really important to setting good goals. But your goals need to be attainable. Don't shoot for the moon. You've got 10 weeks. You've probably got a limited budget. You've probably got limited opportunities. Make sure that your goals are attainable. Stay in contact with your field supervisor through this process. They're going to have to sign off on these goals anyway. You want them to be attainable. You want them to be able to connect in very real and practical ways that are going to benefit you and benefit your place of service. Which gets us to the R. They need to be relevant. They need to be real needs. Don't make up needs for yourself, for the organization for which you work. Dig down, scratch around, think about your own needs and the needs of the organization, and make your goals relevant to meeting very practical sorts of needs. And then the T, they need to be trackable. You need to be able to look back at the end of the semester, at the end of the month, whatever, and say, yes, I've done that. No, I haven't. These are steps that I can take in order to get there. All those things should be in place. Well, then there are some examples that are listed here. Some examples, first, of personal goals, some examples of ministry goals. Personal goals, for example, by the end of March, and this was somebody probably working in the spring practicum, I will share plans with my supervisor for an end-of-the-school youth retreat. The plans will include objectives, budget, program schedule, and plans for recruiting and training adults. No doubt this student saw this as a need. I want to know how to organize and plan a youth retreat. And their supervisor probably said, okay, go to it. These are the things that I need. Here's our deadline. It's measurable. It's attainable. These are very specific, concrete sorts of things that I want from you. A budget, a program, a schedule. We're going to need adult leaders to go with us. How are you going to recruit and plan for those folks as well, and to put together a package, a plan, if you will, for how that's going to be accomplished. And so, an excellent, smart goal that we see there. The bottom one, during the month of February, I will learn to use children's Sunday school materials effectively, and will demonstrate that ability by teaching at least 2 sessions. The need was teaching in this class, maybe not comfortable with the literature side of things. How can we get more comfortable and move toward doing that in very practical sorts of ways? The middle one is a much more personal sort of goal, but these are fine too. Remember that your needs can be more personal sorts of needs, knowledge sorts of things. They can be skills. We could certainly include spiritual disciplines as spiritual skills that we need to know how to do better, to put into practice better. And so here, before the end of the semester, I will establish a regular discipline of prayer for which I'll make myself accountable to my supervisor. That could probably even be specified a little bit more. We're going to meet once a week. I'm going to have the supervisor ask me how I'm doing in my prayer life. We're going to talk about that. Are you going to keep a prayer journal of some sort? Concrete ways to keep yourself accountable is the sort of thing that we're looking for. And then there are some ministry goals here as well. For example, before the end of the semester, parents of 90% of our youth will offer feedback for our youth ministry by participating in a meeting for that purpose or talking with me one-on-one. Part of the goal of the church here was we want more parent feedback about the sorts of things that we're doing. And so the intern then comes in and says, okay, this is a need of the church. Here's a goal for helping to meet that need, to get better parent involvement, to get them involved in providing feedback about what's going on. There's going to be a meeting toward that purpose. Those sorts of things are set in place. The difference between one difference to keep in mind between a personal goal and a ministry goal. The personal goal, you are the subject. So if you'll notice here, before the end of March, I will do this. Before the end of the semester, I will. During the month of February, I will. These personal goals are just that. They're personal. They're about you. You need to be the subject as you think through that. Your ministry goals are about the congregation or about the place where you're serving. So you'll notice that the subject of the goal changes from I to something related to the church or to the ministry. By the end of the semester, parents. In the first 2 months of my practicum, our church will publish. By the end of the semester, 10 singles will participate. So it's not about things that you are hoping to do for yourself and accomplish for yourself and learn for yourself, but they are things that you want your church or your place of ministry to be able specifically to benefit from. So that's the difference, and I think an important difference between those two. And I guess here at the end, what I initially want from you, and this would be via email, is I want you to start with 5. Think about areas of need, things that you want to accomplish this summer, things that you need to accomplish. 5 areas of need, and begin the process of putting together 5 personal goals or 5 personal needs, and 5, if you can get to 5, 5 ministry needs or organizational needs, and let's start there. And I think on your syllabus, at least what I intended to have was initially to send those to me via email. So 5